Hey everybody, I'm just breaking in really quick for a very, very quick important message. I know I already did a short video earlier today, but this is some pertinent information that I thought you would want to hear. That there is a winter storm warning for multiple states. I believe it's about 10 states. I'm going to go down the list for you real quick. If your state is listed in this list that I'm about to give, I mean, you can tell. I don't even have my clarinet put away. I'm just want to break in, make sure that you have this information really quick. Um, you should get prepared because they're saying heavy snowfall, strong winds. Let's see. Um, Getting this information right off the news wire, news break or whatever. So there's some winter storm warnings that's been issued for multiple states across the United States of America. um, and they're expecting heavy snowfall. Um, and this is still today, January 23rd, 2023. And I just put out the other video a couple hours ago. According to the National Weather Service, they're saying that some areas can receive up to potentially 12 inches of snow as this storm kind of blows through. And one of the things that really amazes me is that so many states were listed, and I heard the alarm thing go off on my phone. But we're kind of used to snow here where I am. Even when they say that it's a snowstorm, it's like, okay, does that mean I'm going to be driving or am I going to be walking? But a lot of you guys may not be used to all this kind of inclement weather. And regardless of whether you are or not, there's some things that you want to prepare for. Going down the list of all the states included in this winter weather advisory, which is also going to mean um, snow advisory for people regarding parking that live in the state of Minnesota, where I am, or possibly some other states if you all do that same sort of thing. But anyway, this is the list: Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. That's kind of a long list. As the storm approaches, the residents that live in those states are urged to take necessary precautions to stay safe. The National Weather Service recommends that individuals stay updated on the latest weather forecasts and road conditions and avoid travel if at all possible. Those who must travel should be prepared for poor visibility, slick roads, and dangerous driving conditions. And here in Minnesota, here in the Twin Cities, just in the past 24 hours, there have been multiple car accidents, like three car accidents back to back on one road, and then there was like another seven on a highway. I mean, just bam, 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 one right after another. So you have to be really careful. Sometimes people get overconfident and, oh, I'm used to this or that. Yeah, you got to be really careful in these conditions. But continuing, it says the heavy snowfall is expected to cause power outages. So make sure you got your flashlight stuff together, or you've had those little solar lights like I showed you, had them up in your windowsill. So if the power goes out, you got a little bit of light to help you out. People that are using lanterns or whatever, or if you got the candle and that type of lantern, make sure you have it where you can have it on a safe protective base and you can light it, close it, and keep it in a place where children or pets are not going to go and knock it over. You don't want to have any fires or any things like that going on. So, continuing. Residents should make sure they have emergency supplies on hand, including food, water, and warm clothing. Layer up. Have you seen my videos? I hope you've seen my videos. I got to really get up on this video thing so I can be able to say, up here in this corner, down in this corner. You can connect and watch that video on how to layer up your clothes. Because if the power goes out, they're talking about heavy snowfall expected to cause power outages. The power goes out, you're not only going to be in the dark, your food in the refrigerator, you're going to want to keep that door closed as long as you can so that the food doesn't start to spoil. If you have dehydrated stuff, you have a fallback option. I know, I like the dehydrated stuff. But continuing on, you want to know how to layer up and put on, the thin strap t-shirt and then a regular t-shirt and then put a button down shirt or something over that and then a sweater over that and then you can zip up something, put a hoodie on or whatever. Learn how to dress in those layers. And that includes layering up your socks. Put on the thin dressy socks or whatever, and then you can put on some wool socks or some cotton socks or something over top of it. Learn how to dress in those layers. Take all the covers that you got, get them out of that closet. Quit walking around like you in the Bahamas, unless you are in the Bahamas and the weather's wonderful. Get that stuff out, have it on your bed, have things set up and ready for when things go down. Let me put this horn down real quick so we can get this talk on here. You want to make sure that you have your emergency supplies on hand. If you got some sort of backup power supply, super. If you don't, do you have a flashlight? Do you have those lanterns, like I said, or even candles that are battery operated? Make sure them batteries are working in that thing right now. Just make sure. I'm not saying be wasteful and use it all right now, but hey, when the storm hit, it's gonna hit. I done been through a few storms. I've been through a few tornadoes and blizzards and whatnot. So make sure that you have your supplies on hand and you know where they are, not just that they are somewhere in the vicinity under a pile of stuff. This is one of the reasons why it's important to be organized and have your stuff put away where you can find what you need when you need it. Just like having that get out bag, get home bag, have your stuff together. Continuing on, emergency supplies include food, water. So I hope you got your water containers filled up and in the refrigerator or some extra on the side or some bottled water somewhere or whatever. Because when power goes out, the power doesn't just go out in your home. The power goes out in that water processing plant that keeps everything nice and clean. And it's great if you have a Berkey, but it's not great if no water is able to come through the pipes. Some people fill their bathtubs up with water. I'm not going that route though, because I can see my cat just jumping right in and taking a swim. But, I keep, supply of water, so I'm covered for a while. Okay. Food, water, and warm clothing. Layer up, like I said, not only for you, but other people in your household. If you got children, you got to make sure they're layered up too. Have that stuff together now. Don't wait until the power goes out to do that. Have it together now. It's also important to check on elderly or vulnerable neighbors. If you know that your next door neighbor, Grandma Spoon or Grandpa Fork, doesn't have anyone check on them or they may not have any resources of food or whatever, please, please, please check on them now and say, hey, you know what? This is coming up. Maybe you want to pull out an extra blanket. Here, let's put this package of crackers or and peanut butter or whatever right there. It's just so you have a kickback, just so they're ready. You want to make sure that they are safe. In addition to the snow, the storm is also expected to bring really strong winds, which usually the straight line winds will hit some of these trees, and the trees will start going that way, which might hit a power line, which helps cause more power outages, which I talked about in the tornado video 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. I'm sorry. How the straight line winds hit the power lines, and I was in a neighborhood without power for a week. No power, no food. I had just moved into that house and lost power for a week, which meant the gas stations wasn't working either. So people couldn't get gas, And the food at the gas station was just as bad as the food in my own refrigerator. All that was edible at the gas station were potato chips and donuts. And people went and bought out the donuts really quick. But moving on anyway. Um, Strong winds can cause damage to buildings and power lines, and the National Weather Service advises residents to secure loose objects around the homes, like things that you got outside, that cutesy stuff people put in their yard, to prevent them from blowing away. The winter storm is expected to continue throughout the night tonight, with the heaviest snowfall expected to occur during the early morning hours. And the National Weather Service will continue to monitor the situation and provide updates as necessary. Residents should stay tuned for further information and take all necessary precautions to stay safe. In addition to the heavy snow and the strong winds, and it's going to bring freezing temperatures if it wasn't already cold enough. It was 12 degrees this morning when I left home. It's 29 now. So believe it or not, 29 degrees Fahrenheit, I'm not complaining because it was 12 degrees this morning. It was frigidly cold. This can be particularly dangerous for those without proper shelter or warm clothing, which is why I say layer up. Make sure you got multiple layers. And if you don't have snow pants, you learn how to work with that situation and put on some leggings or pajama pants and then put some other clothing over top of it. Multiple layers protects you in this kind of weather. Those without proper shelter, I'm really feeling for those that are homeless right now, especially those that are living under the bridges and beside the railroad tracks. And there's a lot of people that are really hurting in this nation right now. And it's very sad. And I believe that it's not only in this nation, I'm thinking it's like worldwide because the financial situation worldwide is horrible. Let's be honest, it's horrible. I've watched, programs about things and how it is in Britain and you see things in America. And I know there are some places where people are like, "Hey, I got my place." And people have their place to live. People in tiny houses, make sure you have it locked down real good. Hopefully you do, because that's one of the important factors of having a tiny house. Lock that thing down real good. Just like, there's those hurricane ties that you can use that will really strongly support your home. You don't want to have something cute be blown away in the wind. I'm just saying. But I won't get all into the tiny house stuff because most of you probably don't even know that I made one years ago, and my focus right now is on our safety and our health and our nutrition and making it through these life change. So, the winter storm is expected to bring freezing temperatures to the whole region, and it can be dangerous for those without proper shelter or warm clothing. It's important for individuals to take necessary measures to protect themselves from the cold, such as dressing in layers. Hello, didn't I say that? I've only said it a million times. Dress in layers, covering all exposed skin, and staying indoors as much as possible. So, anyone that has a place to stay, and if you're indoors, stay indoors. Don't let Foo Foo or Moo Moo or Brother Fork or Sister Spoon say, "Hey, come out here and let's talk for a minute. Come out and sit in my car and talk." No, stay indoors. Use your common sense. Stay indoors. Be safe. Be prepared. Be aware of the weather outside. It may look good one minute, but it only takes a snap for things to change from good to bad. So, really, really be wise what you're doing in this weather right now. For those who must venture out, it's important to take extra precautions to avoid hypothermia and frostbite, because frostbite is a motor scooter that you do not want to have to deal with. You need to stay dry, because if you end up accidentally getting wet, that burning that frostbite can happen. So you don't want wet clothes and you don't want wet skin, because that causes, you know, it can help increase the chance of cold related injuries that not only impact you for that moment, but can go on to impact you in future times throughout your life. I've known people that have gone through that. It's also important to stay hydrated and well fed because your body requires much more energy to stay warm in cold temperatures. And if you're out there and you haven't had nothing to eat, and this storm comes through real hard and you calling yourself trying to make a press to go 1 mile, you're going to find that that 1 mile is going to feel a lot more difficult. It's going to feel like you're carrying 50, 100 pounds on your back because your body doesn't have the nourishment that it needs to give you that energy to help you get where you're going and to help you stay warm. It's really, really important that you take care of all that. Hopefully, you got your prep stash made up and you got a granola bar or something. You got a water bottle, fill it up with some water. If you're out at a mall or whatever, wherever, put some water in that bottle and carry it with you seriously. This winter storm is also expected to have significant impact on transportation. Significant. Many roads and highways may be impassable due to heavy snowfall, making it difficult for emergency services staff to respond to calls for help. As such, it's important for individuals to be prepared for potential power outages and disruption to transportation. So if you're out somewhere and you're expecting Auntie Shula or whomever to come pick you up and give you a ride, you might want to rethink that. And while the roads are still clear or halfway decent, you may need to see if you can get out of there right now or make some arrangements for the next day because it is highly likely that it's going to be very challenging tomorrow because it'll be starting tonight and you might go to bed thinking, she was just talking some stuff. I don't see nothing out there. And you wake up in the morning to a whole bunch of white heavy stuff. And I don't know if you've been watching pictures and things that people have been posting on different social media sites recently where the trees have been so heavy with snow that their boughs are curved over almost like a full arch. Not safe. And as the weather continues to change, and those boughs are getting weak, there's potential for stuff to crash and fall or whatever happen. But just be prepared and aware for every situation. And don't stand up under that trying to look cute and getting a picture taken. Just don't do it. It's just not wise. As such, it's important to be prepared for power outages. In addition, public transportation is likely to be impacted by the storm, with many trains and buses running on limited schedules or being canceled altogether. And if they're canceled altogether and you are a great distance from home, you're screwed. It's just going to be, excuse my language, but it's going to be really difficult for you. Individuals who rely on public transportation should check for updates and make alternate travel arrangements if necessary. And you should do that as soon as possible because the later the time goes and when the snow starts to flow, it's going to become more difficult to get those alternate forms of transportation, even if you're trying to do the Uber or the Lyft or the taxi or whatever. Overall, this winter storm is expected to be significant and a significant event for many states, and residents should take all necessary precautions to stay safe. Include staying updated with the latest weather forecast for your area, and if you got a little portable transistor radio or a hand crank radio or something or a battery operated radio, get your stuff together now and put it in that centralized location where you have what you need so that you're not caught off guard as things change in the night. Okay, Stay updated on the latest weather forecast and road conditions, being prepared for power outages and disruptions to transportation, and taking steps to protect yourself and your family from the cold. With proper planning and preparation, individuals can minimize the impact of the storm and stay safe during this challenging time. Thanks to the National Weather Service for this information. Because they're saying up to, and this is posted for today. They're saying up to 12 inches of snow. I guess the National Weather Service came out with this 5 hours ago. I'm just now finding out about it now because I wasn't looking or checking. And, we do that. We get caught up in life and the day to day stuff, and we don't always follow through and check. Make sure you have your stuff together for if you do have to go out tomorrow. Make sure you got hats and gloves and scarf for multiple layers on top and pants. If you got snow pants, great. If you don't, layer up, wear a couple of pairs of pants. Ain't nobody got to know. You just need to be warm and protected. Socks, boots if you got them, um, outside cleats if you have them for the weather, whatever. Um, make sure you have everything you need. Seriously. And I'm going to go down that list of states again real quick before I log off of here. Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. That's 10 states. Please, everybody, take care, be aware, be prepared. Talk to you soon.